In 1993, the director of Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works stood before a group of engineers and said 5 words that changed everything. "We already have the technology." Ben Rich ran the most secretive aircraft division in American history. He wasn't a man who exaggerated. Rich's claim might have faded into aerospace folklore, except for one problem. 30 years later, a U.S. intelligence officer walked into a congressional hearing and testified under oath that the United States government has been running crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs for decades. His name was David Grusch. His testimony pointed directly at defense contractors, companies like Lockheed Martin, as custodians of recovered non-human technology. By the end of this investigation, you'll understand exactly what Lockheed is accused of hiding and why Congress is now demanding answers. And there's one piece of evidence connecting these claims: a leaked document from 2002 that almost nobody talks about. It may be the single most important artifact in the history of the UFO question. We'll get to that. To understand what Lockheed Martin might be hiding, you need to understand the Skunk Works. Founded in 1943 by the legendary Kelly Johnson, Lockheed's Advanced Development Programs Division operated under a level of secrecy that most intelligence agencies would envy. Their motto was simple: results, not paperwork. The Skunk Works built the U-2 spy plane in secret. They built the SR-71 Blackbird, still the fastest air-breathing aircraft ever flown, under classified contracts so tight that even most of Lockheed's own board didn't know what was happening in Palmdale, California. When Ben Rich took over from Kelly Johnson in 1975, he inherited a culture of absolute secrecy, and he thrived in it. Under Rich, the Skunk Works produced the F-117 Nighthawk, the first true stealth aircraft. It flew for 7 years before the public even knew it existed. But it's what Rich said after he retired that set the UFO world on fire. At multiple speaking engagements in the early 1990s, Rich reportedly made statements suggesting that Lockheed had access to technology far beyond anything in the public aerospace domain. At a 1993 UCLA alumni lecture, Rich allegedly told attendees, "We already have the means to travel among the stars, but these technologies are locked up in black projects, and it would take an act of God to ever get them out to benefit humanity." Rich's former colleagues have debated these quotes for decades. Some say he was speaking metaphorically about advanced propulsion research. Others insist he was being literal. What nobody disputes is that Rich operated inside a system designed to keep secrets, not just from adversaries, but from Congress itself. And that system, the Architecture of Secrecy itself, is where this story gets truly unsettling. The U.S. military runs classified programs at multiple levels. But above top secret, there's a category called Special Access Programs, SAPs. These programs are so sensitive that even members of Congress with top secret clearances can be denied access. The information is compartmentalized, need to know only. Within SAPs, there's an even more restricted category: Unacknowledged Special Access Programs, USAPs. These programs don't officially exist. Their budgets are hidden inside other line items. Their existence can be legally denied, even to congressional oversight committees. They are, by design, invisible. Defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon routinely operate inside SAPs for legitimate programs: next-generation stealth aircraft, electronic warfare systems, satellite intelligence platforms. The infrastructure for extreme secrecy already exists. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's how the defense industry actually works. The question isn't whether Lockheed Martin can keep secrets. They've been doing it for 80 years. The question is what specific secrets they're keeping, and whether any of those secrets involve materials or technology that didn't originate on Earth. In 2023, someone with first-hand knowledge decided to answer that question under oath. David Grusch was a decorated combat veteran and intelligence officer. He served as the National Reconnaissance Office's representative to the UAP task force. His clearances were among the highest in the intelligence community. This was not a fringe figure. This was an insider. In June 2023, Grusch went public with a claim that rocked Washington. He stated that the U.S. government has been running a multi-decade crash retrieval and reverse engineering program for intact and partially intact vehicles of non-human origin. He filed these claims through official whistleblower channels. Grusch testified before the House Oversight Committee on July 26, 2023. Under oath, he stated that he'd been informed of the program by individuals with direct knowledge. He named specific people, provided classified locations, and identified the defense contractors involved. Though those names remain classified, multiple investigative journalists reported that Grusch's claims had been deemed credible and urgent by the Intelligence Community Inspector General. This wasn't an opinion. This was an official assessment from the government's own internal watchdog. Grusch alleged that these reverse engineering programs had been deliberately hidden from congressional oversight for decades, moved outside normal government channels, and placed under the control of private defense contractors. The technology was being kept not just from the public, but from the people's elected representatives. When asked directly whether the U.S. government possesses craft of non-human origin, Grusch answered under oath, absolutely. When asked if people had been harmed in the effort to conceal this information, he paused. Then he answered, yes. He said he could provide details in a classified setting. Congress listened, and then they did something unprecedented. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Mike Rounds introduced the UAP Disclosure Act, a bipartisan amendment to the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act. The legislation proposed creating a review board with eminent domain authority over any recovered non-human technology held by private contractors. Read that again. The United States Senate drafted legislation to seize technology from defense contractors. Not alleged technology, not hypothetical. The amendment was written as though the existence of recovered material was already established. The debate wasn't about whether it existed. It was about who should control it. The amendment passed the Senate with overwhelming bipartisan support. Then it hit the House and was gutted. Key provisions, including the eminent domain authority, were stripped during conference. Multiple representatives publicly stated that defense industry lobbying had killed the strongest provisions of the bill. Representative Tim Burchett was blunt about it. He told reporters that the amendment was blocked by members who had significant campaign contributions from defense contractors. Follow the money, he said. When a sitting congressman accuses the defense industry of suppressing UFO legislation, that's not speculation, that's a data point. Despite the setbacks, Congress did establish new UAP oversight provisions. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office was tasked with investigating all historical UAP programs. But critics, including Grusch himself, argued that ARO lacked the access and the authority to investigate the programs that mattered most. But there's one piece of evidence from years before Grusch, before the hearings, before the Disclosure Act, that may be the most revealing of all. In 2002, physicist Dr. Eric Davis allegedly met with Admiral Thomas Wilson, the former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Notes from that meeting, known as the Wilson-Davis Memo, were leaked in 2019. If authentic, they describe exactly what Grusch later testified about. According to the memo, Admiral Wilson attempted to gain access to a special access program involving recovered technology of unknown origin. He was told the program existed, but access was denied, even to the director of the DIA. The gatekeepers weren't military, they were defense contractors. Wilson was allegedly told that a major aerospace contractor was in possession of recovered material they had been unable to reverse engineer despite decades of effort. The technology was described as beyond current scientific understanding. Wilson was told to walk away, and he did. Ben Rich said, "We have the technology." David Grusch said it under oath. Admiral Wilson was allegedly told it existed, but was denied access. And the United States Senate wrote legislation to seize it from defense contractors. Every thread in this investigation leads to the same locked door. We still don't have definitive proof. The classified details remain behind locked doors. But the accumulation of testimony, legislation, and leaked documents has shifted this question from the fringe to the floor of Congress. Whatever Lockheed Martin is or isn't hiding, the era of ignoring the question is over. What do you think? Is the evidence pointing toward something real? Or is there an explanation we're missing? Let me know in the comments. If you want more investigations like this, subscribe. We go deep on cases like this every week.